We're connecting and we are recording.
Awesome.
So let's wait a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This is John Cabot University, and we have participants. Hello, everybody. Attendees. Fantastic. So welcome. Welcome to everybody. So, okay. Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming. We're going to get started, and I will be allowing attendees to speak. So please feel free to chime up and speak. Welcome to this webinar. My name is Danette Anderson. I'm the director of John Cabot University's U.S. admissions operations. And I am here with a very special guest whose name is Alexandria Maloney. Alexandria is currently the president of the Black Professionals in International Affairs, and she has been since 2021. She's currently the director at the Kettering Foundation. She's a visiting lecturer at Cornell University. Her past experience includes the Department of Defense, the White House initiatives on HBCUs. She has a BA from John Cabot University in International Affairs, an MA from Morgan State, and an MPA from Cornell University. Alexandra's experience is in foreign affairs, defense, diplomacy, diversity and inclusion, and women's leadership. So we have a very accomplished speaker today, and I thank you for being here. So Alexandria, I would like to, one more thing, Alexandria will be speaking, then I will do a brief presentation of John Cabot University, and then we will open it up for a Q&A. So thank you for being here, Alexandria.
Thank you so much, Danette. It's an honor and a privilege to be back with my beloved John Cabot to give today's presentation, sharing why every HBCU student should study abroad and consider studying at John Cabot University. So Danette gave my introduction. Thank you so much. I'm currently based in Washington, D.C. I graduated from John Cabot in 2015 with my BA in International Affairs. While I was there, I was very active on campus with student clubs and groups and bringing homecoming to John Cabot. I founded an organization called the JCU Women's Leadership Initiative. And I'm currently still very involved in the school as a junior board of trustee to give back to the university. And so to start today's presentation, the first thing I want to remind each of you is when you are writing the story of your life, do not let anyone else hold the pen. I personally have experienced, and many other peers who I know who have studied abroad or sought to go overseas or travel or vacation or some things, may receive a lot of different responses or reactions, right? There may be questioning, well, why do you want to go there? Is it safe there? Or, no one in our family has done that. Why would you want to go and do that? What's wrong with where we are and where we live? If there's one thing that you remember from today's presentation, it is that you hold the pen to your life, that we as individuals have the ability to do everything in our power to learn about opportunities, to try to set ourselves up for success, to be open to opportunities and ideas in the world. And so I hope that you remember that quote in the future. So I am from a small town in Charles County, Maryland. How I first learned anything about international life, 3 out of 4 of my grandparents are military veterans, so they would share about their journeys overseas in the military. I didn't feel that the military was a fit for me, per se, but I was interested in the international aspects. And then I had a high school French teacher, Miss Rosa Shamdani, who she was so intentional on teaching us as her pupils about the world. She was this very cosmopolitan woman. She had traveled the world for many years and was a translator and just an exciting life. And I said, I want to be cosmopolitan and international like Miss Shamdani. No one in my family had gone to a school overseas or anything like that. but she encouraged us and she encouraged me. She said, "What's the worst that could happen?" She said, "Just, do the research, look at international schools, look at American universities abroad, apply, give yourself the shot, right? You don't know what can happen." And so I applied for John Cabot and was accepted my first year for the freshman year, but felt the need to um, just kind of get into the rhythm of college. And so as a freshman, I actually spent my freshman year at Morgan State University. So I enrolled there. I started my college journey at Morgan. It was transformative for me to attend an HBCU as a freshman to learn about myself, my culture, my people, my identity, to then be able to travel overseas, to be able to share the beauty of my culture confidently and comfortably, and the American experience and what that looks like for me. And so I deferred my attendance as a degree seeking student that freshman year, and then put all my energy in getting to John Cabot my sophomore year. I said, I don't know how it's all going to work out. I'm still kind of piecing all the pieces together, but I have this goal. I'm not going to give up. And I'm so thankful to all those who helped from John Cabot from the day that I sent the inquiry email to the day that I graduated, and even through to today, through members of the staff, faculty who have helped to support and guide me through this journey. Our dean, Mary Merva at the time, very supportive and encouraging, because a lot of these things I was learning for the first time. I mean, imagine being enrolled in college and you're trying to kind of learn the academic material and also learning the life outside of the classroom and being in an international environment, which I look forward to talking more about. Um, but all of those things really transformed what I understood about the world and what I saw as possibilities for myself and the impact that I wanted to have on the world. I'm in classes, international affairs or political theory classes with students from around the world. You'll see some of these pictures here. There are folks from the Middle East, from South America, from Africa, from Eastern Europe, and everyone's in a class, kind of like a little mini United Nations. We're all in the class sharing, what is our opinion of what's happening in the world events and current events and what we would do if we were in those roles and in those seats. And so I encourage you to, research international schools, quick Google search. I'll also give more tips and tricks in today's presentation. I also wanted to share in terms of my feeling connected to the community and feeling a part of the community. I didn't know what to expect when I went overseas. Going to John Cabot was the first time I had ever been out of the United States. I did not speak one word of Italian. My parents thought I lost it. They were like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? What are you running from?" And I just said, I have this pull to want to see the world. Here's an opportunity to do it. And so I always do in my mind. I said, if it all just falls apart, and if it does fall apart and I can't figure it out, just come home and figure it out. Luckily, I didn't have to do that. I got to John Cabot. I was very well supported, and had a wonderful experience. A part of what made my experience so special was the community of other students and friends and folks who I consider to be like my family now, where we were doing campus activities, women leadership initiative, leadership and professional development events, student government, social events, all types of things. We were hosting like the alumni, the galas, and different opportunities to connect and feel connected as a community. And so that's very important for me with an institution, both on my academic journey and my professional journey. I'll also share, while I was enrolled in John Cabot, I was able to study abroad for one semester at the Chinese University of Hong Kong and also loved it. It was a completely different experience. There's many more similarities between the European experience and European life and American life than living in Asia. And so that was an eye-opening experience as well. So in 2015, I graduated from John Cabot. Super excited. That is my grandma, my best friend, and my dad in the picture. Sharnice also attended John Cabot as well. My grandmother and my father, this was their first trip to Rome. Both of their first trips out of the country was to come to my graduation. And that was just such a life highlight for me, because it for um, not only just being African American, but even just American, not many people study abroad or get the opportunity to go overseas. So that is kind of a big thing. And many people in my immediate community, like my neighborhood and places that I live, and other student and classmates from Morgan, so many were inspired because they saw, Alex, I saw that you were able to do it. And I looked it up, and I went and did a summer study abroad at this place. And so to know that sometimes we have to see someone else and know that it's possible to then feel more confident that it's possible for yourself too. So some of the benefits that why I believe that every HBCU student should study abroad. Firstly, you're getting an immersive cultural experience. The point of studying abroad and going to a different place is to meet and be around people who are not like you, who may speak different languages or have different views of the world and different cultures and different values. And that helps the world be a more cohesive at times and more understanding place, more compassionate, more empathetic place. Another very clear benefit for me and others and my classmates is the global job market advantage. And so when I return back to the US, when I'm applying for graduate school, when I'm applying to go to Cornell, Ivy League institution, I'm applying for jobs. I was actively, competing and interviewing against folks who were also at the Ivy League level or very competitive. Maybe they went to, top business schools or top schools. And the thing that many of the interviewers, what caught their attention was John Cabot, that I went to school overseas. They were intrigued, they were fascinated. Like, what was that experience like? And how did you do that? And what did you learn during that time? Global networking, like I said earlier, the John Cabot community is like a small and very powerful group of future leaders and world leaders and business folk. And so having friends in every almost there isn't a country I can think of that I can't reach out to a John Cabot alum and find them there. So if I go, whether I go to New York City this summer, I went to Paris for the Olympics, whether I'm in another place, I'm almost always for New Year's, I went to Dubai, meeting with John Cabot alumni who were some of my best friends. Other things that I've also learned and what other students I think are beneficial for the study abroad experience, just the day-to-day life things that we learn, right? Patience, problem solving. The pace of life in Italy and across Europe is much more relaxed than in America. So I remember first moving to Rome, and I'm coming from the Washington, D.C. area. I'm used to things moving quickly and being busy, and when I'm in Rome, the pace completely changes. You're at the post office, folks are taking their time, they're having conversations, and it opened my eyes to also think about how the pace of my life, right? I could let that frustrate me and anger me, or I can take a moment, take a beat, and look at why that may be beneficial or how that may be impacting me, like through the self-reflection. Independence and confidence. And so you're having to live, you're in a community, right? You've got other students there from the day that you arrive on the plane, you walk off the plane, you're there with other new students and study, right? You're all learning together. You got each other. You're walking and you're like a flock, going to the grocery store, going to do daily life things. We live in a world where we now have Google Translate on our phones. And so those kind of alleviate some of the anxiety moments that we may be feeling, but increasing the independence, the confidence. I also found in my experience so many opportunities to celebrate diverse histories, both in the opportunities, students and members of, local Italians who I were meeting, super interested and curious in wanting to know what is my true lived experience in America as a Black woman in the world, and really wanting to know, and sharing cultural connections that they may have with the Black community or with America at large, from music to culture to style and vice versa. I'm a genuinely curious person, so I love to learn about all types of people as well. And so it's just a richness of learning and celebrating those histories. It's also a super diverse alumni network. So like I mentioned earlier, like you saw in the photos that I shared, folks representing the around the globe. And then lastly, I think that no matter what your starting point is, and when you do enter and pursue the opportunity of studying abroad, that no matter whether you've traveled your whole life, whether it's time, there's a level of resilience that you will build by studying abroad, because you again are kind of independent, you're building yourself, you're doing the academic and the personal, and you may be faced with like a daily small challenge, or you may be faced with a challenge academically, or new thought, or our values may be challenged, any type of challenge. And um I didn't have the luxury, for example, just when something got hard, I could just fly home, right? You got to figure it out. And so the JCU community, the staff, the faculty are super helpful. Danette will go through all of the services and resources and resources available to students to help in that support that is needed for all students, but especially for students like myself who this may be their first time overseas. It's a lot of processing about what's happening around. It's a lot of processing about what's happening in my mind and in my spirit as well. And it was just a beautiful experience. And so I also want to address what some of the barriers to study abroad can be, particularly for HBCU students. So this is a part of the portfolio that I worked on when I was with the White House Initiative for HBCUs. I supported their International Affairs Task Force, where we brought together and helped to problem solve with all 116 HBCUs and our federal agencies, so the State Department, USAID, about how we can and the Department of Education, work towards removing some of these barriers to study abroad, especially for HBCU students or BIPOC, Black and Brown students who may not have the same access or exposure. And so these are kind of the core pillars of barriers in terms of studying abroad or challenges to studying abroad. The number one layer is safety from an individual standpoint, from a parental and a familial standpoint. Nothing else is more important than our safety as an individual. And so that can also be an initial concern or fear sometimes from individuals or from family members. Will my child be safe in this place? And that kind of information is always found online, and the State Department shares the, travel advisories and things like that. I lived in Washington, D.C., I've lived in Baltimore, I've been in New York, LA. Rome is probably the safest place I have ever been. I mean, you got to be smart. You shouldn't be walking alone at night by yourself with the headphones on, unaware. Just like you're in any big city, you should be aware. But Rome is an extremely safe place. Legally, you can not only military forces can have guns, just as an example. So the safety there is one thing that actually was a draw to me to go to Rome, was how safe that the place is. The second barrier that may cross the minds of students and families is the financial constraints. Now, there's a few considerations here. First, you do have to do your research, right? Just like you do your research if you are looking to attend college in the US or anywhere, you would do your research and have to understand what's possible. Looking at the playing field, if you will. Are there opportunities for scholarships? Are there opportunities for financial aid, for Pell Grant, for different work study, for example? And so I was fortunate enough as an undergraduate student, I was eligible for an academic scholarship, for the partial scholarship. I was also eligible for the work study, for example. U.S. financial aid is accepted at John Cabot. It's a Title IV school. So any Title IV school in the world is a accredited school by the U.S. that can receive financial aid funds. And so through those different, kind of having to be resourceful, I was able to fund my education. I didn't have the, I was responsible for developing that plan myself. And so that helped to alleviate the financial constraint. Again, had to be resourceful, had to be kind of creative. The next barrier or perceived barrier is belonging, right? When you're talking about going into a completely different country, far away from your family, far from your friends, it's a true concern. It's like, will I fit in? Will I be the only one? Am I going to be the only? If I'm coming from an HBCU where I'm used to being in a classroom that is filled with people who look like me, who understand me, who come from the same culture as me, am I about to go into a place where I don't see anyone that looks like me? And just to remind us and those who are interested in studying abroad, remember a part of the international experience is wanting to meet other people that are not exactly like you or who are different than you. But my experience there were students, and John Cabot is diversifying further that represented all cultures and black and backgrounds. Those who represented, I was there with African Americans and those of African descent, and we all were like one big family. You know, there's organizations, there's student groups and organizations that help to build that community across, you know, different identity groups and the like. And so my experience was that it was easy to find belonging at John Cabot because in one way, you know, we're all, the group of Americans that come, it's like we are the outliers in this country. So a part of you feels like, you know, the other American students are who I feel familiar with, no matter what their cultural background is. It's like we're all Americans, so we kind of are more familiar with each other than everyone else here. Um, and being open to making new friends. While I was at John Cabot, my friend group, we were like the little mini United Nations. Everyone represented a different background, a different group. And we were in school together, we were out and about in the city together. And it was great. Another barrier, a perceived barrier is language. Folks are like, how am I going to get my groceries? How am I going to, you know, what if there's an emergency? If I have an emergency and I call, you know, the Italian equivalent of 911, are they going to be able to understand and hear me? John Cabot has all every resource you can think of. They've already thought of every case scenario and have it for you to do. So they have the call-in numbers, for example. Again, with the language, generally speaking, like I said, Google Translate is our friend. And now they're getting really fancy. They have it where you can download it offline. So you don't even need the internet to be able to use that, where you can speak into it, you can type into it, you can take pictures of the sign. Um, and that was particularly helpful in Italy, but especially when I was in China. And so that's another resource, right? Another way to overcome a challenge, right? Push through and be resilient around wanting to expand opportunities for ourselves as individuals. Also, John Cabot offers the Italian language one-on-one class. They do the casual, like coffee language meetups. And really, I like to think it's for those who don't learn the language, you're trying really hard not to, because we're going to the grocery store every day. You know, we're not needing to be fluent in the sense of professional academic fluency. Some of us are, but most of us are not. It's day-to-day life, right? And if you go to the grocery store, to the bakery, and order bread enough, after a few weeks, you'll get into the rhythm of knowing what to say. And if you still kind of freeze up, you're afraid that they're going to laugh at you. Like me, I was afraid they were going to laugh at me because of my accent. I would just put it on Google Translate and then hold it up to them. And then what pushed me out of that was one day I had my phone and my phone died, and I had to go to the grocery store, and that was when the true test occurred. And I was able to order all the things that I needed, order my meats, order my breads, my cheeses. And I didn't, I, that encouraged me to then push myself to try to speak the language in a daily manner in my everyday life. And then the final barrier to studying abroad and to education in many ways and higher education is self-actualization, is actually believing that you as an individual can even do it, that it's like that it's an opportunity, even if all these other things came into fruition and it came into life. The biggest thing that can hold us back as a person is ourselves, is our mentality, is like our potential fear or our concern. And so, um, you know, I've given you some tips here of how to address some of these barriers. There's a lot more reading online as well. I also encourage, there's a plethora of experience-based YouTube videos and blogs where it's called like Black Travel Abroad. And then you put in the city or the place that you're interested in traveling, and they're sharing like their day-to-day life and what they're doing and what life is like going through the grocery store, going, you know, a day out or night out on the town. And so if you are considering studying abroad for the first time, I encourage you to do the research, If you're even here or listening to this, you have an interest, a potential interest. And my final thought to you is to remember that you hold the pen to your story, whatever that story is, whether it's international or domestic or whatever uh, the industry area that you would like to go in. You hold that pen, and you never want to. I've never wanted to look back on my life and wonder what if, right? Like FOMO, like what would have happened if I did when I went to Morgan as a freshman, I could have just stayed and finished as a freshman. I could have just finished my degree out there. I'm sure I would have had a great life and everything would have been, I would have turned out okay. Um, but I would have felt like I would have been looking back saying, what if I did go overseas? And there's so many experiences that I would have missed out on. And so I put this image here to remind us, right? These three glasses are all looking at the same thing. The same opportunity is in front of you, right? To pursue studying abroad. Some may see it as an optimist. I can do it. I'm interested. I'd be a fit for this. I'm curious to learn. I'm excited to, for the adventure. Some people may look at an opportunity and be pessimistic or say, I don't know if I'm ready for this, or I'm nervous, I'm afraid. And it doesn't seem right for me, and that's okay. And then there's also the realist perspective that says, I think I'm ready for this. What would it realistically take for me to do that? Or I don't think I'm ready for this right now. What would it realistically look like for me to do? Maybe I'm not ready right now in my academic career, but maybe for the master's or maybe further on. And so I just want you, whatever path you decide and you choose, I want to remind you that you hold the pen. So thank you for listening to my portion of the presentation. I am now going to pass it over to my dear Danette Anderson, who will share her screen and share more about um, the offerings that John Cabot has, everything from academic to student services. And then we will open the floor at the end for Q&A. And so feel free to put it in the chat um, throughout the presentation if you'd like to put that there so that you don't forget. So Danette, I'll pass it over to you.
So thank you. Thank you, Alexander. That was inspiring. And I hope all of you are just as enthusiastic about an international experience after Alexandria's presentation. So I am going to tell you a little bit about John Cabot. Can everybody see this properly? Yes?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So John Cabot University is an American liberal arts university. We have been around for over 50 years, and we're accredited by Middle States, and our business school is accredited by the American Association of Business Schools. Why do I say this? It's because when you go abroad, you have to make sure that you go to a place where your credits transfer back and forth fairly easily so that you don't have any problems with credit transfers. So at John Cabot, we also have a lot of networking and career opportunities. And we have all the support services, which I believe Alexandria has already started telling you, which I will tell you more about. Our enrollment profile. Our enrollment profile, we have 1,800 students from 75 countries. Our students are our degree-seeking full-time students are about 30% from the States, over 50% from Europe, and the rest from Africa, Latin America, Middle East. And our international numbers are growing rapidly. Why choose Rome? Well, for those of you who haven't been to Rome, it's a major European capital. It's home to a lot of embassies, international organizations, multinational companies. It has 12 UNESCO sites. Hi there, I saw your hand. I'll just go through it. And then, Alexander, should we stop or should I wait till the end? I think I'd wait to the end.
Yep, I think we'll take all
Okay.
Q&A at the end.
Yes.
Also, if you wanted to do the full view of your screen,
I am
if you
trying
wanted
to
to go to
right
view
now.
up at the top,
I
there we
got it.
go. There we go.
I
We can
got it.
see it
I
now.
just
Thanks.
so basically it's impossible not to be part of history and ancient history with 900 plus churches, museums. So you basically trip over art. Another thing about Rome, it's a central location, which is a perfect base to explore Italy and the US and Europe, other European countries. And then Italian culture, of course, Mediterranean culture permeates every aspect of life. We offer over 350 courses that you can take every semester in these areas in the business area, communications, international affairs, political science, psychology, art history, art and design, English literature. We also have minors in legal studies, entrepreneurship, so you can take classes that will transfer back to your home institutions. We are an urban campus. So we are located between the Vatican, St. Peter's, and the Colosseum, which are two, I would say, landmarks in Italy, in Rome. And we're located on the banks of the Tiber River in Trastevere. We have 3 buildings. Now we have more. We're in the process of finalizing other buildings. We have 4 housing options, which I'll tell you about. We have a cafe with a meal plan, fitness center, computer labs, TV studios, and plenty of studio lounges, courtyards for you to lounge in. Here's some pictures of our campus, some initial pictures. The Guarini campus is an old convent. It's our historical campus. Our Furring campus is our student center. Critelli campus, which is, I would say, our beautiful campus where we have our marketing and admissions office, classrooms, our art studio, which will be expanded. Then we also have career services, where our study abroad students are actually encouraged to get an internship. It has to be pre-approved prior to arrival. So how cool is that? You can put an internship experience on your resume. We have career preparation sessions. So the Career Services office is open for all of our study abroad students as well. We have a team that works very hard to keep you engaged. So we have an athletics group, and then we organize campus over like I think 400 campus events that you can attend a year, clubs and organizations, community service, cultural activities. The reason I say it's very important to get involved is because this is how you meet friends and how you belong to the community, as Alexandra was saying. And also, again, you can take leadership roles in all of these clubs, and you can also put that on a resume. And it's a very good talking point when you're faced with, an admissions person for a graduate school or for a potential employer. Any questions about these, we can ask at the end. Athletics, we have varsity teams, soccer teams, basketball, volleyball, cheerleading, and then we also have external agreements and fitness classes. Cultural programs, again, our student engagement team is very involved. They want you to get to experience Italian culture. So we help you join cooking classes. We do cultural food tours. We take you to the ballet, the theater. We take you to Roman neighborhoods. And of course, we take you on weekend trips or day trips to Pompeii, to Florence, to Venice. Again, I was counting, we have 12 support systems at John Cabot, which we can talk to you about. But the main one is housing. We have residential assistant support. Their apartments are fully furnished. Our residence dorm have 24/7 security. We also have residences and apartments around the city, but they're all walking distance or fairly close. We have a team that will help you with anything you need in the student accommodation. Again, health and well-being. We have a doctor on campus, and you can WhatsApp him on demand, a doctor on call, kind of like a concierge doctor. He's lovely. In case you were to be sick, we have a whole team, a health and wellness team that will come with you to see specialists, clinics. We have a team of psychologists and psychiatrists, English speaking for free. We also have a mindfulness and compassionate mind training program, which is very popular. I actually saw on Instagram the other day, they were doing, I think, meditation in the botanical gardens. They're about a 2-minute walk from the university. Safety, as Alexandra was saying, Rome is a fairly safe city, unless you go out alone at night, of course. But we have a system, we have a 24/7 emergency number. We have a global medical and security assistant provider. We have a helpline. So we're there for you at all times, 24/7. How do you apply or how do you even think about it? Well, first of all, you can always contact me. You can contact John Cabot's Study Abroad office. You can contact Alexandria. So the first step is go to your study abroad office and ensure that you are able to go and that your credits will be approved. Once you're approved, complete the online application. And once you do the online application, you will get instructions from us to upload your transcripts and everything on the student portal. And we also have financial aid opportunities available just to HBCUs. So we automatically award students scholarships. And the scholarship amount is $500 for summer session and $1,000 for fall or spring semester. I encourage you to follow us on our socials because that's when you really get to know the sense of community at John Cabot. So first of all of you here are allowed to talk. So you can either put your question in a chat or in the Q&A and we will respond because I don't see any open questions. Alexandria, do you have anything to add?
Sure. Well, firstly, thank you, Danette. If we can give her a virtual round of applause for taking the time to come and share and speak with folks. And this webinar will be shared broadly throughout the HBCU ecosystem for years to come. And so I want to thank you all and thank John Cabot for the forward leaning of the collaboration with the HBCU community and wanting to get more HBCU students there too. And just from a personal place of thanks with that as well. I'm curious, for those who are on the call, where are you calling in from? Or if you're representing a school, feel free to put that into the chat just so we can have a sense of who you all are. But again, do not feel shy. The only, the only one who may have something to miss or lose from not speaking is the individual. So, this is the opportunity. You got two experts here on study abroad, on traveling abroad. No question is too big or too small. And so please do feel free to put that. Okay, I see we got some FAMU in the house, Florida A&M University, Tallahassee, Florida. All right. And in case people are looking or asking,
Sorry, Alexandria,
mhm,
Tallahassee, Florida.
yes.
I will be in Tallahassee in February. So if you have any
Hello.
questions, all right.
So you should definitely, Akiba, you should definitely send Danette and the study abroad team an email to let them know that you're in Tallahassee. Would love to connect or meet up to chat. Um, for others, so I think you can put your question either in the Q&A box. There's in the button and the bottom panel it says Q&A. Or if you would like to do the raise hand function and unmute. I saw earlier someone did a raise hand. I saw in a moment someone unmuted and muted. So we'll take, a few more moments.
Everybody is allowed to speak. I allowed
Mhm.
everybody to talk.
Okay, great,
I think that
great.
would be great if you could just put it in the chat or speak up. So we have people from California and from Florida.
Good evening, everyone. I am Chiquita Brown, Dr. Chiquita Brown. I am an assistant professor at Florida A&M University, which is FAMU.
Wonderful.
And I joined the call because I actually applied to teach at the university during the summer, one
Okay.
of the mini semesters. And so I just chimed on to get more information about the school itself and to see what you guys are offering and to just hear more about it, opposed to me just looking online. I just want to hear from you and to
Mm-hmm.
listen in on the presentation.
Well, thank you, Dr. Brown. I hope this was informative,
Yes.
kind of what you were looking for. I mean, did I cover did we cover all the points?
Yes, you did cover all the points. So thank you very much. The presentation was really great. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and I will see you in February if you wish.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for
Wonderful.
You're welcome. Thank you both.
And Danette, maybe you can also verbally say what the email address is, because I know sometimes people are maybe in commute, they're commuting, they're driving the car, maybe they're just listening in, not able to visually see the PowerPoint screen.
What I would do is I would write to study abroad at
Mm-hmm.
johncabot.edu. I am going to write it in the chat.
Mm-hmm. And what I can say about the John Cabot Study Abroad team, active and responsive. When I tell you all, there was no one who could have been more annoying to them than me getting in my on my journey. I mean, I'm not kidding. Danette, I would send an email checking in once a week, just to say
Yeah.
hi. Check. This is what this is what the updates are now. I'm working on this section of the packet, and I'm working on my visa, and here's what, and I want to make sure that I get everything right. You know, it was my first time, so I really was concerned that I wouldn't submit the information correctly. And no one ever responded back to me with any impatience, with any rudeness ever. Folks were the full admissions team, responsive and kind and just so patient.
Okay. Hi, Kira. What is the overall general range cost for a study abroad opportunity, and are you able to provide more information on the questions that we asked on the application? So on the
Mm,
application,
hmm
some of the questions are pretty standard. And I would say the overall cost is around, I'd say 6,000 depending for the summer, including everything. But you're going to have to go online and check.
hmm
Prices will probably, I think they're okay. They're set for this summer. But you take
hmm
2 full-time classes and housing. And another point about John Cabot is I would probably have a small meal plan. Some students don't want
hmm
the plan, but our cafeteria, our cafe at John Cabot is fabulous. The food is
Yes.
excellent, and it's probably the only salad bar that you're going to get in Rome that is really if you want a salad. I always tell people just minimum amount on your meal plan because you'll use it for a cappuccino, for a coffee, for a
hmm
croissant. But most importantly, I just know that it's the only place to get a good salad because salad is not
hmm
something Italians eat. They eat pasta and I mean, they eat it. It's not as good.
hmm
It's not the typical Italian salad bar, American salad bar. Um, and we will work with you with scholarships as well. And any other questions? I'm trying to think of, fitting in, getting value for it.
hmm
I don't know if people are worried. I work a lot with first year degree seeking students coming to the States,
hmm
to Italy. So I travel and I speak to students all day, and I actually get 17-year-old, 18-year-olds who come to John Cabot and they're like, "Oh, ma'am, thank you. I don't know why I had any doubts." So if you're
Wow.
having doubts, that's normal. That's absolutely normal to
Yes.
have doubts and to be scared. That's normal. But don't forget, we welcome 1,800 students
hmm
3 times a year in the fall, in the spring, and in the summer. So we've got it down packed. Just trust us. Once you apply, we will take over. You'll go online, you'll meet students who are coming at the same time.
Yep.
That's
hmm
helping you. You can look at your courses. The summer schedule is already out. We
hmm
actually have courses for students in engineering. This is our 10th year.
Wow.
So, and another thing I wanted to say is, let's say you're not ready for a study abroad experience. We also have a master's at John Cabot in international
hmm
affairs and one in art history. Here we go. This is wonderful. I love the question, Akiva. I just started saying internet. Does it
hmm
still offer grad level internships or only undergraduate? For the moment, only undergraduate. But we just started the graduate center. So if you were to write to career services, they might have it, but I don't think we're quite set up for that at the moment, but I know they're working on it. We have a new director of the career services and graduate school. So you can write to me and I will pass the email to her. And my email is danderson@johncabot.edu. Let me write this down in the chat.
hmm
Any questions, you can write to me and then I will forward it to colleagues in Rome. Okay. So it's danderson, pretty easy, @johncabot.edu. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find the correct person for you.
And Danette, what do you recommend? You mentioned with the engineering classes, what do you recommend if a student at their home institution, their major is not a major that is offered at John Cabot? What suggestions, what tips do you all have for those
Yeah,
students?
that's a great question. Basically, let me share my story. One year, I don't know, many years ago, I took a summer course in creative writing because I wanted to, right? everyone in this class was from a major that we didn't offer at John Cabot. There were nursing students, engineering students. So my question to them was, excuse me, why did you choose John Cabot if, we don't have your major? And they said, oh, we have gen eds, we have our electives that we need to take. So again, they take some of the classes that they need to graduate, but that are not in their area. And this engineering program, we started it because some of our partners in the United States actually asked us
Mhm.
to
Ah.
put engineering courses so that
Mhm.
students in engineering in the States could take courses, because it's very difficult to find classes in English at an American
Mhm.
institution abroad that transfer. So we're trying to do that.
Yes.
So if we have partners in the States, partners as in universities, we can, the dean will try to do her best or his best now. Let's
Mhm.
see, you guys are warming up now.
Mhm.
Question, the chat is disabled. Okay, I wonder why. So let me write this again. I'm going to write it in the Q&A.
And I
Okay,
think it's that they can, maybe we just put it there just in
study
case.
abroad. I'm going to repeat what I wrote. So study abroad at johncabot.edu.
Mhm.
Thanks for any questions. And then my email, where am I going to write that? I'm going to write this again here. Do you see it? Or you can go
Yeah.
online.
And you also, you stated it verbally too. So I think
Right.
that'll relay
So
study abroad at
in
John
here,
Cabot.
right, it's study abroad at John Cabot.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Don't have any questions about, I don't know, support
Mhm.
services? Because I was told, make sure you focus on support.
Mhm.
So we
Mhm.
have your art, we've got the academic support, we've got what, 5 deans, assistant deans. We have
Mhm.
the tutoring centers, we have math tutoring, we have English language tutoring, the writing center, basically. We have
Yes.
foreign languages, English language. We have a doctor. We have our immigration. We have our student engagement team. We have our health and wellness team. Orientation team? When you come to John Cabot, you have
Mhm.
full orientation. So the path is you apply, send in your material, get accepted. We pick you up at the airport. We take you to the university. We actually pick you up
Mhm.
to the university for
Yes.
orientation. You do an orientation of the campus of Rome, and then afterwards you start your class. You will always have a point person as an academic person. We always have the
Mhm.
admission staff is there for you. All the academics are there, the professors. So there's really no need to feel lost. That's my,
Mhm.
um, any questions?
Well, I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat, so I think it's safe to, wrap and conclude there. Danette, thank you so much for um, being willing to take the time to come and share all the opportunities that John Cabot has for students. This video will be shared across networks of thousands, and so we are, on behalf of the HBCU community, I will say thank you, and thank you to John Cabot for the openness and the work that you all have done to ensure that it is a safe and a supportive experience for all students, from the academic to the life and the social, from all aspects through. And that's just me speaking from my personal experience as a student there. And so for those who are on the line, just reminding you that you hold the pen. It may take you, you may be able to plan and get there in 6 months. It may take you a year and a half. It may take you, like me, it took me 2 years about that time to be able to get myself together, get all my resources in order, get my books in order to be able to go. But it was the best experience of my life. I would not be who I am today if it was not for John Cabot, if it wasn't for my classmates, the students, if it wasn't for the faculty who pulled me into their office and said, Alex, you can do this and you can succeed, from staff and members, from Danette saying you are, just a role model to others and to other students. All of that built me to who I am and the leader that I am today because of the nurturing and the pouring that this institution did for me and for others and for my peers and my classmates. And so again, I just encourage you to explore and apply. Don't be shy. Reach out to either of us with any questions. No question is too small. we are the ones who lose out if we don't ask. That's how I say. I'm the one who's losing out if I don't ask the question, no matter how big or little that is. And so with that, Danette, I'll pass it over to you for just a kind of final closing thought.
Now, following you is hard, huh? Because there's so hard to say. That's awesome. But so thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you in Rome, and please
Yes.
take the international route, at least for part of your educational journey.
Mm-hmm.
Very important to see the world and to be in a position where you really are a minority, because you'll do a lot of self-discovery
Mm-hmm.
and you will be
Mm-hmm.
a person. So thank
Yes.
you. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.
Awesome. Alrighty. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
To everybody.